harapin, mahirap man ay kakayanin.
Sa pinagsamang lakas at galing, tagumpay ay mararating.
Tara na kaibigan, huwag kang magpaiwan. Gamitin ang dunong bansa'y susulong. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama, itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama, itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas.
Ang pangarap ko ay maging piloto.
Pangarap kong magkaroon ng chief alternative for personal hygiene.
Pangarap kong magkaroon ng mabilis at murang transportasyon para sa lahat.
Pangarap kong masagot ang malnutrisyon.
Pangarap ko pong magkaroon ng effective communication means for emergency.
Pangarap kong ma-maximize yung renewable energy source and to reduce the carbon dioxide emission.
Pangarap ko pong maging scientist.
Ngayon na o simulan na, humanda sabay-sabay akyat. Hawak kamay tayo'y aangat, lilipad. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan.
Tracing its roots back in 1901 from the then Bureau of Government Laboratories, which became the Bureau of Science, the Department of Science and Technology, Industrial Technology Development Institute, or DOST-ITDI, turned 119 years old on July 1, 2020. From basic researches to mapping of the country's flora and fauna and other local resources for scientific studies, DOST-ITDI has been a vital instrument in establishing the research and development agenda in the country. It was 1958 when the Bureau of Science became the National Institute of Science and Technology, NIST, that industrial R&D started gaining ground while harnessing local resources and skills towards self-sufficiency and optimized productivity. Industrial R&D went full gear in 1987 when the NIST was renamed Industrial Technology Development Institute, focusing on four major functions: research and development, technical services, technology transfer, and custodian of the national units of measure to provide international traceability. DOST-ITDI research and development covers five major areas: food, environment and biotechnology, chemicals and energy, material science, and packaging technology. All aimed at supporting and answering the needs of local industries. Complementing its R&D are its technical services, standards and testing, national metrology, and technology transfer, aimed at harnessing local industries' productivity and competitiveness, and translation of developed knowledge or innovation into the production sector, paving the way for new businesses or startups. As well, DOST-ITDI innovations serve as springboards for businesses to thrive and prosper. In support of the administration's thrust in addressing the COVID-19 pandemic, DOST interventions are anchored on the theme Agham at Teknolohiya, Sandigan ng Kalusugan, Kabuhayan, Kaayusan, at Kinabukasan. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, and when most of the country was in enhanced community quarantine, DOST-ITDI bravely rose to the call of duty, distributed ready-to-eat foods such as the Pack of Hope and Mungbean Cocoa Milk Drink to our frontliners in Metro Manila and other regions in the country, produced face shields via 3D printing and donated these to hospital frontliners, developing prototypes and 3D printing critically important parts of hospital equipment and improved design of N95 mask to better protect the frontliners. The Institute is also providing interventions for our displaced countrymen who lost their jobs and livelihood by making training available online whenever necessary. And even before this pandemic, DOST-ITDI innovations were critical in rehabilitating communities that experience calamities and even war and make them whole again. DOST-ITDI has been preparing for an innovative ecosystem for new knowledge and technology to thrive and help make us ready for Industry 4.0. DOST-ITDI aims to achieve kaayusan and ascertain the future or kinabukasan through its initiatives and help businesses in every Filipino adapt to COVID-19 under the new normal. State-of-the-art facilities are being established. Construction of the Simulation Packaging Testing Laboratory, SPTL, and Green Packaging Laboratory, GPL, is ongoing. At the SPTL, stress conditions that affect products during transport are simulated that can help mitigate losses during distribution, while produced products can be processed and packed in a green packaging laboratory. AMSIN, or the Advanced Manufacturing Center, DOST's 3D Printing Technology Center, is a joint project with Metals Industry Research and Development Center, MMHRDC. ITDI focuses on developing multiple 3D printing materials from local materials to reduce cost. Halal Food Research and Development Facility. With this facility in place, the Institute hopes to develop new food products that are compliant to halal standards and as well support DOST as it responds to Republic Act No. 10817 or the Philippine Halal Export Development and Promotion Act. Enhancement of the competence and capabilities of the National Metrology Laboratory of the Philippines. Expertise and facilities are being upgraded, and construction of laboratory facilities for metrology and chemistry and biology are now ongoing. It is envisioned that the animal will provide the country with credible measurements and traceability in the fields of physical, chemical, and biological metrology. And with the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, DOST response has been decisive. With the support of President Duterte and the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, the DOST will establish the Virology Science and Technology Institute of the Philippines, or VIP, to be constructed at the new Clark Economic Zone in Capas, Tarlac. The VIP shall be pursuing priority virology research and developing diagnostic kits, therapeutics, and vaccines for diseases caused by viruses, where DOST-ITDI will have a critical function.
From laying the groundworks for science and technology in the country, the Industrial Technology Development Institute of the Department of Science and Technology, through the years, which turned 119 last July, has been consistently providing innovations to industry to help make them competitive, emerging as a credible industry partner. The Institute has been instrumental as well in mitigating hazards and improving the lives of disaster victims and communities to rise again. With so much optimism with this cooperation and bridging of talents and expertise, we look forward to enhance science, technology, innovation, competitiveness, and the emergence of new research and development capabilities that hopefully will translate into new products and services that meet the current and future needs of our nation and the people. Today, we celebrate the third International Symposium in the 10th Scientific Conference of the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium. This consortium started way back in 1992 as an neonatal health research area under the Philippine Council for Research and Health Research and Development of the Department of Science and Technology. This consortium has been very helpful in terms of strengthening our collaboration among members in terms of research. The La Salle University has been one of the institutions who was a member of MMHRDC at the very start. Being a member of this organization helped us secure research funding and meet people whom we can collaborate in research.
Before, my researchers are all within UP Manila lang, but now I collaborate with other institutions, other partners of those other institutions, and it pushes me to expand my areas of research.
One of the problems that we have in the Commission is we have lots of researchers. They are just put into shelves. The goal of MMHRDC is to be able to utilize those researchers. In the Commission on Higher Education, we really appreciate MMHRDC in its efforts, particularly on research.
It's an eye-opener. It's a venue to meet other like-minded researchers, other internationally known researchers.
Because of MMHRDC, UERM was able to participate to seminars and workshops hosted by MMHRDC, facilitated by local and international speakers.
From the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, we would like to thank and congratulate the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Committee for organizing the Third International Conference. We hope that this conference will inspire our younger generations to pursue careers in the health research and development.
On behalf of our Regional Director, Dr. Corazon Flores, we would like to thank and congratulate the Metro Manila Health Research Development Consortium for the success of this conference. Patuloy po nating labanan ang non-communicable diseases. Let's accept the challenge, beat NCDs.
The Metro Manila Health Research Development Consortium has intensified our culture of camaraderie and continues to inspire us to work together to improve health outcomes through health research and development activities. As one community that has continued to make significant contributions to improve and sustain health science and innovation for the benefit of our country and humanity.
Kilaok na ang manok, hudyat na ng pagpasok. Paglilingkod na walang kapalit, sa bayan ng aming hatid. Tara na, kaibigan, huwag kang magpaiwan. Gamitin ang dunong bansa'y susulong. Ating abutin ang pangarap liwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas.
Anumang hamon ay haharapin, mahirap man ay kakayanin. Sa pinagsamang lakas at galing, tagumpay ay mararating. Tara na, kaibigan, huwag kang magpaiwan. Gamitin ang dunong bansa'y susulong. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas.
Ang pangarap ko ay maging piloto.
Pangarap kong magkaroon ng Chief Alternative for Personal Hygiene.
Pangarap kong magkaroon ng mabilis at murang transportasyon para sa lahat.
Pangarap kong masagot ang malnutrisyon.
Pangarap ko pong magkaroon ng effective communication means for emergency.
Pangarap kong ma-maximize yung renewable energy source and to reduce the carbon dioxide emission.
Pangarap ko pong maging scientist.
Ngayon na o simulan na, humanda sabay-sabay akyat. Hawak kamay tayo'y aangat, lilipad. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas. Maayos na bukas ating iparanas sa bayang Pilipinas. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan.
Kilaok na ang manok, hudyat na ng pagpasok. Paglilingkod na walang kapalit, sa bayan ng aming hatid. Tara na, kaibigan, huwag kang magpaiwan. Gamitin ang dunong bansa'y susulong.
Good morning to our Zoom and Facebook participants. Welcome to our webinar entitled Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan at Kaligtasan, Pagharap sa Hamon ng Makabagong Panahon. But before we begin our program, may I please request your attention to the screen for the invocation and the singing of the national anthem. Muli, isang magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Welcome po muli sa ating webinar na pinamagatang Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan at Kaligtasan, Pagharap sa Hamon ng Makabagong Panahon. Ako po si Meg Atienza from DOST-ITDI and I will be one of your moderators for this morning.
And I am Hazel Catublas from Adamson University. And again, we would like to greet our participants on Zoom platform and Facebook for joining us today.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Hazel.
Good morning, Miss Meg.
Yes, and before we begin, Dr. Hazel, and I would just also like to welcome our partner DOST agencies for making this event possible. I would like to acknowledge at this point the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium, or the MMHRDC, the DOST Industrial Technology Development Institute, and of course, this event would not be possible if not for the support of the DOST Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, or DOST-PCHRD. At syempre, welcome din po sa ating mga participants from the academe at ang ating partners from the media as well as other DOST agencies who joined us this morning. Again, welcome po sa ating Zoom platform and Facebook. And just a quick reminder for our Zoom participants, please answer the attendance sheet at the start and end of the program to secure a copy of your certificates. Our chat moderators will share the link and the QR code for your reference. Okay, so before we move on to the next part of the program, Dr. Hazel, ano nga ba ang reason ng ating gathering this morning? Can you give us a short background of why we organized this forum?
Yes, Meg, we want to highlight the importance of taking care of our health in the new normal. That is why we have experts in various topics on health and nutrition, as well as in food processing, who will be joining us this morning.
Yes, Dr. Hazel, tama po kayo. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, DOST and MMHRDC really saw this opportunity to conduct more research activities that focused on building the food processing industry in the new normal. Alam naman natin, Dr. Hazel, di ba, that this is very relevant and in demand dahil marami rin pong nag-boom na food businesses during the pandemic. So para maiwasan po ang sakit, we need to educate people on matters of food, nutrition, food processing, and of course, packaging technology. And now, to formally welcome us all in this activity, may I call on the chairperson of MMHRDC, Dr. Maria Luisa Enriquez. Good morning, ma'am.
Can I be heard already?
Yes, ma'am, loud and clear. Good morning po.
Good morning. Dr. Jaime Montoya, Executive Director of PCHRD, Dr. Eva Marie Cochonco de la Paz, Director of UPNIH and Chair of the Steering Committee of MMHRDC, Dr. Annabel Briones, the Director of ITDI, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa, Director of FNRI, Dr. Hilton Lam, MMHRDC Consortium Director, our distinguished speakers, fellow researchers, faculty and students from various academic and research institutions, friends, a warm welcome and a pleasant morning. One of the functions of the Research Utilization Committee of MMHRDC is to organize scientific fora to showcase the researches done by our scientists or researchers from different member institutions in Metro Manila. This morning's forum is the first of the 3 we are holding this year. The theme of today's forum, Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan at Kaligtasan, Pagharap sa Hamon ng Makabagong Panahon, is an opportunity to disseminate projects of government agencies on health, food, and nutrition. During these difficult times, we experience many changes in our day-to-day lives. One of these is on our food consumption, what we eat, how frequently we eat, and how much we eat. At the height of the pandemic, we had limited access to the supermarkets, the wet markets, leading to an overall reduction of fresh foods, but an increased consumption of food with longer shelf life. Many of us have come to value more health and realize how vital healthy eating is to support our physical and mental well-being. While it is true that we are slowly going back to our so-called new normal, we feel that lessons learned during this COVID-19 pandemic should be disseminated to help us be more prepared for the many challenges to come. And today, we are very fortunate to have with us 5 distinguished speakers who will talk on the various aspects of food from its nutritional value, its handling and processing and preservation, and even safety concerns. I personally would like to thank all the speakers for finding time to share their researches with us. Our sincere gratitude to ITDI, DOST, for co-organizing this activity, most especially to its director, Dr. Annabel B. Briones and Ms. Rachel Parco. Once again, a warm welcome to everyone, and I wish you all a very productive morning. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Enriquez, for that warm welcome, and to our participant, and for giving us a glimpse of today's program. And now it is with great honor to welcome the unstoppable Executive Director of the DOST-PCHRD to give an inspirational message. May I call on Dr. Jaime C. Montoya. A virtual round of applause, please.
To the University of the Philippines, Manila, National Institutes of Health, Executive Director Dr. Eva Maria Puchonco de la Paz, Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium Director Dr. Hilton Yam, MMHRDC Research Utilization Committee Chairperson Dr. Maria Luisa Enriquez, Department of Science and Technology, Industrial Technology and Development Institute Director Dr. Annabel Briones, Deputy Director for Administration and Technical Services Dr. Sorayda Ang, to our resource persons, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa, Mr. Charles Feb Palya, Ms. Rika May Zinga Marie Wade, Mr. Ellison Keith Encarnacion, Ms. Maria Rachel Parcon, to our Masters of Ceremonies, Dr. Hazel Ann Lamadrid Catubia, and Ms. Margarita Atienza, and everyone joining us live on the virtual floor, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. It is my pleasure to meet all of you in this webinar, Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan at Kaligtasan, Pagharap sa Hamon ng Makabagong Panahon, organized by the MMHRDC together with the DOST-ITDI, covering diverse topics from the proper preparation of food to the implications of the pandemic on nutrition. This webinar serves an opportunity to highlight how food and nutrition affect health and communities. We at the DOST-PCHRD also put significant emphasis on nutrition and food safety as an integral part of achieving our mission to make lives better for the Filipino people. One of our priority research areas in health is nutrition and food safety, which aims to look for solutions through science and technology for proper nutrition and safe food to improve the health of our communities. Specifically, our nutrition and food safety program aims to address problems such as micronutrient and macronutrient deficiencies, overnutrition, and nutrition-related diseases, among other areas of concern. Another area we focus on is the development of functional foods from crops or commodities that may offer possible health advantages beyond nutritional benefits for the prevention of non-communicable diseases. Our investments in these fields pave the way for research projects such as the evaluation of virgin coconut oil as an adjunctive treatment to COVID-19 and the possible development of a supplement from buffalo Quezon Puti whey to address stunting in children. These initiatives, as well as all the topics that will be discussed today, show how research and development play an important role in promoting proper nutrition and food safety. In the same way that it helps address other health burdens of our communities. This learning is even more evident as we navigate the various challenges brought by COVID-19, such that also through R&D, and we were able to bring solutions and innovations that supported and strengthened our country's pandemic response. It is my hope that through today's discussion, we can encourage more researchers to engage in science and work with us in advancing R&D on food safety and nutrition. Even more so, I hope that this will inform our target end users and promote the utilization of research. Thank you to the MMHRDC and to the DOST-ITDI for organizing this webinar and for being our partners in pursuing our mission to make lives better for the Filipino people. Maraming salamat po at may we all have a productive webinar ahead.
Thank you very much to the very hardworking Executive Director of DOST-PCHRD, Dr. Jaime C. Montoya. And now, let us turn to another icon of health, the Executive Director of the National Institutes of Health of UP Manila, for her message.
Dr. Jaime Montoya, DOST-PCHRD Executive Director, Dr. Imelda Agdepa, Director of the DOST-FNRI, Dr. Annabel Briones, DOST-ITDI Director, Dr. Hilton Lam, Director of the NIH-IHPDS and MMHRDC Director, Dr. Maria Luisa Enriquez, Chairperson of the MMHRDC Research Utilization Committee, and to all our distinguished speakers and attendees to today's webinar, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Amidst the ongoing global health emergency, there is nothing more vital for us than to protect our health and the health of that of our families. The best way to assure our continuous health and nutrition is to be knowledgeable and vigilant on proper food handling, food preservatives, nutraceuticals, and functional ingredients, among others. The title of today's webinar, Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan at Kaligtasan, Pagharap sa Hamon ng Makabagong Panahon, it's timely and responsive. While we are protected through the high efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines, we are called to complement our immune system through proper eating habits and proper nutritional intake. More to this, it is our duty as healthy citizens to challenge ourselves to spread awareness of available data-informed research to address the public's nutrition and food safety. Hindi natin maikakaila ang kahalagahan ng isang malusog at masiglang pangatawan upang maging kabahagi ng masaganang lipunan. Good nutrition is the key to good mental and physical health. The kind and amount of food we eat affects the way we feel and how our body works. As we listen to our speakers from the Department of Science and Technology Food and Nutrition Research Institute and the Industrial Technology Development Institute, I hope we further realize the importance of knowing what we eat as well as how we can protect our families by being vigilant in the quality and safety of the food we consume. Thank you to the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium for organizing this highly informative event. I think we will have a lot of food for thought from this MMHRDC webinar. Naway magtulungan po tayong lahat tungo sa isang lipunang busog-lusog. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po muli sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much for your support as always, Dr. De La Paz. But before we begin, may I request everyone to turn on their cameras for a quick photo op session. Dr. Enriquez, Dr. De La Paz, and Dr. Montoya. Okay, in the count of three po. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. And now, Meg, we have now reached the meat of our session. I'm really excited to hear from the experts of DOST on their knowledge about nutrition and food processing in the new normal. So allow me now to introduce our first speaker. She is the director of the Department of Science and Technology Food and Nutrition Research Institute. She conducted numerous community trials that contributed significantly to the improvement of nutritional status of Filipinos. Among the greatest accomplishments are the researches translated into laws and policies, such as the integrated model on school-based gardening, nutrition, education, and supplementary feeding that became the basis of the recently released National Supplementary Feeding Law, the evaluation of dietary section of DOH Hospital, which has been used as the basis of DOH to release an administrative order to increase the budget of meals of inpatients in charity wards. The pilot-scale commercialization of iron-fortified rice led to the release of local ordinances for the sale and consumption of iron-fortified rice in numerous LGUs. This intervention model has been fully adopted for implementation in different parts of the country. The research on food fortification beverages also benefited industries to make their products more nutritious for the Filipino population, and the evaluation of the quality of life of patients with chronic kidney disease after consuming low-protein rice has helped patients with kidney disease enjoy quality meals and improve the quality of life. The products developed were nutrition management guidelines for CKD patients undergoing hemodialysis and 2 recipe books of low-protein and protein-controlled recipes. These books now are being used as reference materials in various universities and hospital dietary sections. Dr. Imelda Agdepa has completed her Master's of Science in Nutrition from Southeast Asian Ministers of Education for Tropical Medicine Regional Center for Community Nutrition, University of Indonesia, and a PhD in Community Nutrition as cum laude from the same university. She has been a short-term consultant in Indonesia and in the National Institute of Nutrition, Hanoi, Vietnam, and a project leader in the conduct of national nutrition surveys. She also received a number of awards, such as the Pag-asa, which was awarded by the President of the Philippines, the Alberto Romualdez Outstanding Health Research Award, National Category, and the Clara Ruth Darby Award for Nutritionist Dietitian Association of the Philippines. So without further ado, to start off our lecture with the topic, Health and Nutrition During Pandemic and Beyond. May I now call on the Director and Scientist 2 of DOST Food and Nutrition Institute, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa. A warm round of applause, please.
The Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium and DOST-ITDI, dignitaries, officials, and all other participants in this forum, a pleasant morning to everyone. The theme, Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan, at Kaligtasan, is very timely during this time of uncertainty. My topic today is all on health and nutrition during pandemic and beyond. Allow me to present this in this order. First, I just like to present DOST-FNRI as a research agency, and then the framework of action to support nutrition. And then I will proceed on the R&D and S&T pre-COVID and COVID response, and wherein I have to tackle food insecurity and malnutrition before pandemic, the risk factors of non-communicable diseases, the conduct of the rapid nutritional assessment surveys results, and the beneficial effects of VCO against COVID-19, as well as DOST-FNRI science and technology solutions. And lastly, I'd like to pose some recommendations at the individual, community, and national level. So the Department of Science and Technology Food and Nutrition Research Institute is a premier research and development institute of the government in food and nutrition and other science and technology services. Now, we are actually bounded by Executive Order 128, Section 22, wherein the FNRI is mandated to undertake research that defines the nutritional status of the population with reference particularly to the nutrition problems, causes, and effects, and identify alternative solutions. And the National Nutrition Survey is a designated statistical activity that will generate critical data for decision-making of the government and the private sectors. This is actually a multi-level framework to support nutrition and food security during the COVID-19 pandemic. Using the various levels of the ecological health model, which are the individual, community, and national as well as global. At the individual level, the common denomination that drives most of the nutrition and dietary recommendations to combat viral infections, including COVID-19, lies within the link between diet and immunity. At the community level, food access and availability, and particularly vulnerable to the implications of COVID-19 outbreaks, primarily because of the difficulties in transportation, distribution, and delivery of food across borders. At the national level, while governments of countries around the globe are dealing with the burden of COVID-19 and its enormous strains on the healthcare system, they are also battling a destabilization in their economies and a rising threat of food insecurity. In the light of these challenges to provide adequate nutritious food at times of pandemics, each country urged to define, finance, and distribute a food basket of a least cost food or diet that supports the health needs of the population and ensure the use of the local agricultural produce of the country and minimize reliance on food imports. At the global level, however, while border protection is legitimate in safeguarding the health and the health of citizens from external threats, however, it can severely disrupt travel, trade, and tourism, as well as infringe civil liberties, and countries that depend heavily on imported food to meet demand might face inconsistent risk from supply chain failures, especially in the face of border crossing closures. Therefore, it is essential to make full use of the international markets as a vital tool to secure food supply across the globe to prevent food insecurity. So food security exists when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. And I'll present to you the results of our National Nutrition Survey pre-pandemic that was taken actually or collected during the 2018-2019, and I will present food estimates. So the percentage of households by food security status in 2018-2019 revealed that about 44% are food secure, and mildly food insecure was 13.3%, moderate food insecure was 29.8%, and severely food insecure 13%. Now, for food insecure households, the total would be 56%. And with that kind of scenario in 2018-2019, we have experienced malnutrition problems. And among our under 5, stunting was 29.6, school-aged children was 24.9, and adolescents 26.6%. For underweight, we have 19.1 for the under 5. For the school-aged children, 25%. And for adolescents, we don't have that. And wasting, we have actually 5.7% under 5 and 7.8% among our school-aged children, while among our adolescents, we have 11.5%. Now, overweight and obesity, that's actually overweight for height. It was revealed that among our under 5, we are already having 3.5%, and among our school-aged children, 10.4%, adolescents, 10.7%. Now, moving forward on the prevalence among adults, we have here chronic energy deficiency, we have 7.1%. Our elderly population, we have 14.3%, and among lactating women, 10.7%. For overweight and obesity, we have here overweight 28.7% among our adults, and elderly about 23.7%, and lactating mothers 29.8%. For obesity, that's actually higher weight than, of course, the overweight. No, it's about 20% of the ideal body weight, and that's actually 9.3% among adults, 6.1% among our elderly population. For anemia among pregnant women, we have 23%, lactating women 13%. And for vitamin A, 3%, 2.2% for lactating women. And for those suffering from lower urinary iodine level, we have 21.1% among our pregnant women and 22% among our lactating women. Now, we know very well the different consequences or the negative consequences of iodine deficiency during pregnancy. Of course, mothers would experience miscarriages or abortions or some kind of abnormalities. Now, for our NCDs, or the non-communicable diseases, the elevated blood pressure among our adults about 15%, while elderly, we have 34.7%. And high fasting blood sugar, the prevalence among our adults was 6.9, and elderly about 13.8%. It's very high. And for current smoking among adolescents, we have 13.7, 21.1% for adults, and 16.5% among our adolescents. For those who are currently drinking alcohols, we have 15% among our adolescents. But for those binge drinking among current alcohol drinking or drinkers, binge drinking meaning to say 4 bottles in a row, no? So we have 45.9% among our adolescents and 54% among our adults. Elderly population, we have 45.6%. Now, for those that have or are having insufficient physical activity among adolescents, most of them are not actually active, physically active. So about 82.7% are insufficiently physically active. And among adults, we have 38.8%, and elderly about 48.7%. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we are just very lucky because we were able to implement a rapid nutritional assessment survey. And I will present to you the key findings of this study. So food insecurity at that time rose from the 56% pre-pandemic to about 62.1% in the surveyed households. and these households were experiencing moderate or severe food insecurity. So you can see here that 62% were experiencing actually severe and moderate food insecurity during the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we have 40.2% suffering from moderate and severe. The impact of food insecurity was higher in low and moderate than in high-risk areas. And high-risk areas are located in highly urbanized cities where food availability and accessibility might be easier, either through local government units, government or private-induced donations. And the most food insecure were households with children 0 to 12 years old. That's actually 7 out of 10. And those households with pregnant women, wherein we have about 8 out of 10 households. And about 56.3% of the households reported having problem accessing food during community quarantine due to no money to buy food. That's actually coming from 22% of the surveyed population, and 21.6% said limited or no public transportation, and no money due to loss of job, 19.5%, limited food stores in the area, about 10.8%, and elderly, and they don't have any member to buy food, that's about 5.1%. Now, the top food coping strategies adopted by food insecure families, we have they have purchased food and credit. That's actually about 72%. And they have bartered food, 30.2%. About 66.3% have borrowed food from family, neighbors, and friends. And 21.1% have reduced amount of intake of adults for children to have more. And for the food assistance, you can see here that about 96.6% of the surveyed households receive food assistance from the LGU or the private sector. So about 48.9% received 2 to 3 times, and 42.6% had 4 or more than more times, have 4 or more times receiving food assistance. Now, of course, the most common food items included in the food packs, we have rice, cereals, and instant coffee. That's about 31.3%. Milk and other dairy products, 14%. And 82.6% gave canned and other dry goods. So we have also loaf breads, meatloaf, and condiments. Now, the complementary feeding given to our infants, only 3 out of 10 Filipino children aged 6 to 23 months were able to meet the minimum dietary diversity score of at least 4 food groups a day. And 9 out of 10 Filipino children aged 6 to 23 months were able to meet the minimum meal frequency. The meal frequency should be or must be 2 times for breastfeed infants of 6 months to 8 months, 6 to 8 months old, 3 times for 9 to 23, and 4 times for breastfed children 6 to 23 months, non-breastfed children. And only 2 out of 10 Filipino children receive appropriate complementary feeding based on minimum acceptable diet, implying, of course, the poor quality and quantity of complementary foods given to our infants during the pandemic. So our takeaway message, the major issues during the lockdowns are food insecurity due to physical and economic inaccessibility, limited access to health and nutrition programs, and physical inactivity and unhealthy diet. Now, if left unsolved, of course, we will have an increased percentage of nutrient deficiency, increased undernutrition, and of course, increased overnutrition. Now, other efforts during the COVID-19, of course, we tested actually our virgin coconut oil being pushed as an adjunctive therapy for COVID-19 patients. Now, and more importantly, the VCO compounds not only reduce the coronavirus count by up to 90%, but also improve cell survival of patients with COVID-19. With the renewed public interest in BCO and other coconut oils alternative health benefits, stakeholders are seeing a 20% growth in the demand by 2022. Now, through this project, we'll not only be providing a solution to the challenges brought by the pandemic, but will also aid the recovery of the Philippine economy. Now, other FNRI SNT products and tools, we have the enhanced Nutriban, the complementary food products, and nutrition promotion for behavior change. So our institutional clients are the Department of Education, Department of Health through NNC, and also the SWD. Now, that time we have released 3 types of variants of Nutriban. We have the squash, carrot, and the sweet potato. So what can be done? So our nutrition recommendations during the COVID-19 pandemic at the individual level, of course, we have to maintain a well-balanced meals and avoid irregular snacking. Choose foods rich in vitamins, and of course, eat or consume dark green leafy vegetables and also our legumes, nuts, and dairy products. Maintain a healthy lifestyle of having home exercises, regular sleep, and of course, sometimes meditation is really, meditation can also help. And avoid smoking, alcohol drinking, and of course, drugs. And refrain from spreading misinformation related to nutrition and dietary intake and the COVID-19. At the community level, identify and support populations at risk of malnutrition within the community, especially elderly and patients with chronic diseases. Create a structured and reliable support system to ensure availability, access, and affordability of essential food commodities to all members of the community. Now, at the national level, we must actually promote the use of the local agricultural products and minimizes the reliance on food imports. That's what we're doing in our products. We are actually using local agricultural products in our nutritious, innovative food technologies. Support agricultural and food production industries, closely monitor and inspect food prices and markets, and also build networks with the private sector, the international agencies, and local communities. So an example of our local products are here. We use actually coconuts in the different cocoa puff, blend, and biscuits. We also use squash in our Nutribans, with the malunggay, and we have filling. We also have the low protein biscuits and the millusog, or we have here the local products like what they call this pork picadillo, and then we have the chicken puchero, and we have the veggies arroz. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
So, good morning po sa lahat. I am Charles Pep Palya, a science research assistant from the Food Processing Division of ITDI DOST. So today, I'll be presenting to you food handling and processing, the proper way to prepare your food. So, first off, kailangan natin define kung ano yung food safety. So, food safety refers to the assurance that food will not cause harm to the consumer when it is prepared or eaten according to its intended use. That is according to RA 10611 or the Food Safety Act of 2013. So ano yung mga pwedeng mag-cause ng harm sa consumers? These are the contaminants na pwedeng maihalo or present sa raw material o sa pagkain during consumption. So one type of contaminants are the biological contaminants, the bacteria, viruses, parasites, and molds, and chemical contaminants such as pesticides, processing chemicals, drug residues, and allergens. As well as yung last type is the physical contaminants, those that are naturally present in food, such as bones, eats, or bugs, as well as yung mga na-introduced during handling or processing, like glass shards, metal shards, and hair from the food handler itself. So ano yung mga sources nitong mga contaminants na to? One is the material, yung mga raw material na ginagamit natin, packaging material na ginagamit natin, method, contaminants may be introduced during processing or during food preparation, then machine, yung mga equipment, yung mga utensils na ginagamit natin, the environment, yung pinaglutuan or yung kung saan tayo nagpe-prepare ng pagkain. Then, yung food handler mismo, tayo mga nagpe-prepare ng pagkain. Ano yung importance ng food safety? So one is the prevention of foodborne illnesses or illness due to contamination. Symptoms of these foodborne illnesses are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, headache, and it may cause death sa mga small children, infants, pregnant women, and elderly. Next is the reduction or avoidance of food wastage. So if we follow yung tamang pagproseso or yung pag-handle ng pagkain, so may iwasan natin yung mabilis na pagkasira nito or yung pagkasayang niya. Kasi nga, if hindi niya nagkaroon ng contamination, may it be physical, chemical, or biological contamination sa pagkain, wala tayong choice kundi itatapon natin siya. Itatapon na lang natin siya. So, waste. So, paano nagiging unsafe yung pagkain na pinuproduce natin? One is buying from unreliable source, then poor cleaning and sanitizing, poor personal hygiene, cross-contamination, and time and temperature abuse. So, buying from unreliable source, pag hindi kagandahan or hindi ganun kalinis yung binibila natin. So, the location or yung market na pinagbila natin might introduce contamination na mismo dun pa lang sa raw material na binibili natin. Poor cleaning and sanitation, yung kitchen natin hindi natin nalilinis na mabuti, yung processing area hindi nalilinis na mabuti. So, it may harbor microorganisms or bacteria dun mismo, as well as it may attract pests like cockroaches sa processing area or sa kitchen natin. Yung mga lumang chopping board, pwede rin mag-harbor yun ng mikrobyo. So next is poor personal hygiene. So hindi tayo nag-hand wash, hindi tayo naghuhugas ng kamay, yung uniform or yung damit natin during processing, nadumi, naninigarilyo tayo during food prep habang nagpe-prepare ng pagkain. Tapos kahit na may sakit tayo, nagpe-prepare tayo ng pagkain, and pag may sugat sa daliri. Next is the cross-contamination. And this occurs kung example nito, yung mikrobyo from one raw material is nalilipat sa other raw material. So one example of this is if we are using chopping board and knife sa chicken tapos hindi natin siya hinugasan after natin siyang gamitin sa chicken, tapos iniwan natin doon or nag-chop tayo ng fruits and vegetables for our salad, which is ready to eat. So, yung mikrobyo galing sa chicken, pwedeng mailipat doon sa salad na produce natin. Isa pa is yung improper storage ng raw material. Hindi natin siya nilalagay sa properly sealed container, tapos pinagpapatong-patong natin siya in an unorderly na manner. Yung chicken nasa taas ng gulay. So those are some possible ways na mag-introduce ng cross-contamination. And lastly, time and temperature abuse. So time and temperature abuse, yung proper cooking time and temp hindi natin na-achieve. Yung pag-thaw ng proper thawing ng meat or ng food product hindi natin fina-follow. Tapos iniiwan natin yung pagkain sa temperature or sa environment for a long period of time. So, ina-abuse natin. Nagkakaroon tayo ng time and temperature abuse. So, paano natin maiiwasan na maging safe yung pagkain? So, there are 4 basic steps. As per USFDA, there are 4 basic steps to ensure food safety. One is we clean, then we separate, then we cook, then lastly we chill. So, in order to make sure na malinis yung raw material na ginagamit natin or yung binibili natin, we should buy from a reliable source. So, doon tayo sa malinis na market, or if hindi natin naiiwasan yun, we should make sure na yung binibili natin is fresh. Chinecheck natin yung amoy, kung hindi siya bulok. Tapos chinecheck din natin kung walang contamination, physical contaminants. Tapos we should always clean the lids of canned goods kasi naiiwan dyan sa shelf ng matagal, so nagkakaroon ng alikabok ng dust buildup dun sa lid mismo. Kung hindi natin nilinis yun, upon opening ng can, yung unang nagka-come into contact with the food sa loob ng can are the dusts. Then we should wash fruits and vegetables after pagdating natin sa bahay. So, hindi lang sa raw material dapat malinis tayo, pati rin sa atin as the food handlers, as the ones who prepare the food. So, bare minimum household level, proper hand washing. So, ano yung mga steps sa proper hand washing? We should wet our hands with warm water, i-soak natin siya, we should apply soap, then i-rub natin siya thoroughly, yung wrist, yung palm, in between our fingers, ganun din, at yung thumb, and under the nail. After nun, i-rinse natin siya in clean running water, tapos i-dry in single-use towel or air dryer. Huwag sa damit or sa pants. So, yung raw material, dapat malinis. Yung tayo as food handler, dapat malinis. And dapat yung kitchen area natin dapat malinis. So we should wash our cooking utensils and food contact surfaces. Dapat nililinis natin yun. Tapos yung kitchen mismo, mini-maintain dapat natin yun. Next is we should separate. We should not do not cross-contaminate. Yung during sa pamimili pa lang, dapat nakaseparate na yung ready-to-eat food, yung from the raw meat, poultry, and fish products. Tapos, we should use chopping board for different raw material, separate chopping board for different raw material. Example, ibang kulay, we do color coding for every type of raw material. Or kung wala tayong capacity na maganon, at least we should wash yung chopping board and the knife before we use it to a different raw mat. We should also observe proper storage order. Ito sa fridge or sa refrigerator natin, sa chiller, dapat in-observe natin to. Yung sa pinakataas na layer, pinakamataas is ready-to-eat food and cooked food. Then, followed by seafood sa second layer on the top. Then, whole cuts of beef and pork. Tapos, ground meat and ground fish. Yung siya pinakababa is yung whole and ground poultry. Number 3 is we should cook, we should cook. So, cook for 15 seconds to save internal temperature. When we say internal temperature, yung temperature ng gitna nung product or nung raw material. Lagi nating tatandaan yung acronym na PGSF or Peace Gives Safe Food. So for P stands for poultry, stuffed meat, and during reheating. So yung internal temperature na target natin dito is 74 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds exposure. Stuffed meat includes yung mga like yung ng bangus or yung sausages. Yeah, those are stuffed meat. Ground meat, G stands for ground meat, ground seafood, and injected meat. So, dito yung target temperature natin, internal temp, is 68 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds naman na exposure. Yung some examples of injected meats are ham and or tocino, and pati na rin yung bacon. So S stands for seafood and steaks. Steaks is at medium rare. So pag gusto natin well done, dapat mas mataas na temp, 71 degrees Celsius. So yung sa seafood and steaks, yung target natin na temperature internal is 63 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. So F stands for fruits, vegetables, and grains. So yung target na internal temp natin dito is 57 degrees Celsius, again for 15 seconds then. For eggs can be cooked at 63 degrees Celsius if i-consume natin siya agad. Pero pag i-consume natin siya later, dapat mas mataas na temp yung target natin, yung internal temp na natin. Should be at 68 degrees Celsius. Next, and number 4 na sa steps, no, basic steps to ensure food safety is to chill. So, after natin siyang iluto, yung pagkain pwede lang magstay sa room temp for 2 hours. So after 2 hours, within 2 hours, dapat ma-consume natin siya. Then, beyond that, we should dispose na. Tapos, mas na-half yung time if the room temperature is above 32.2 degrees Celsius. Like dito sa atin sa Pinas. So, yung room temperature natin usually, especially ngayong summer above 32.2 degrees Celsius. So, hindi siya pwedeng tumagal na more than 1 hour sa ref or sa table. Dapat i-consume natin siya within an hour or dapat itago na natin siya sa ref within an hour or i-consume natin siya agad. Otherwise, we should dispose of it. So, during cooling naman, yung fina-follow natin, this is based on the Serve Safe na manager's handbook. So, after natin siyang lutuin, pag kinukul na natin yung pagkain, dapat in the first 2 hours, from initial temp, madrop natin siya to 21 degrees Celsius within the first 2 hours. Yun yung pinaka-critical na time, kaya siya maikli lang. Kasi dadaan yun sa temperature danger zone na range in which yung mikrobyo mabilis tumubo o mabilis dumami. So, pag na-drop na natin siya into to 21 degrees Celsius, the first 2 hours, dapat within the next 4 hours, ma-drop natin siya from 21 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius or lower. Para total, dapat within 6 hours max na na-coolan natin siya from initial temp to 5 degrees Celsius. Pero, crucial yung first 2 hours na yun, hindi siya pwedeng lumampas doon. For thawing naman ng food, there are proper ways sa pag-thaw ng food. One is in a refrigerator at 5 degrees Celsius or lower overnight. Then, yun yung pinaka-advisable talaga na way ng pag-thaw ng pagkain. Then, next is another one is to submerge under running potable water at a temperature of 21 degrees Celsius or lower. So, dapat properly sealed yung container ng raw material, tapos clean running water yung ginagamit natin. So, and it should be at 21 degrees Celsius or below. Next is in a microwave oven if the food will be cooked immediately after thawing. So, pwede tayong mag-thaw sa microwave. And lastly, pwede natin siyang ihalo kaagad sa pagluluto or as part of the cooking process in thawing. This given na cut na yung example yung sa meat, na cut na siya. So, pwede natin siyang i-diretso or seasoned na rin if you want it to be seasoned. For storing naman ng pagkain, these are just some examples ng shelf life ng mga raw material if it is stored on the refrigerator or on the freezer. So for egg with shell na fresh, 3 to 5 weeks yung itatagal niya sa fridge. Hindi applicable yung sa freezer. For banana, 2 days. Tapos after which nangingitim na yung balat. Pag sa freezer, whole na nabalatan, 1 month. Tapos pag room temp naman hanggang sa mahinog siya. And so on. So for eggs, as per PNS, yung storage niya sa room temp, hindi dapat nag-exceed ng 32 degrees Celsius. So the shelf life at room temperature was not specified sa PNS na so yung temperature lang na requirement nila. So yun lang po, parati ko lang sinasabi na if you can tell if a food is safe by smelling or looking at it, so when in doubt, throw it out. So mahirap na po mag-risk kasi it may cause harm sa atin as consumers. Or kung ipapakain man natin siya sa iba, magkakaroon pa tayo ng problema if na food poison yung mag-consume nun. So again, I am Charles Feb Cupalia, a Science Research Assistant from the Food Processing Division of ITDI DOST. Kung feel free lang po to ask questions later. Then, if may mga katanungan pa po kayo, you can email me sa email ad ko, cfqpalia@itdi.dost.gov.ph. So, thank you po and God bless.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Charles, for enumerating the ways to properly prepare our food and the ways of guarding our health from various contaminants such as physical, biological contaminants. So we have also learned important guidelines in avoiding cross-contamination when preparing and storing our food, and also proper temperatures in cooking and cooling our food so that we could stay away dun sa sinabi ni Sir Charles, no, na temperature danger zone. So again, thank you, Sir Charles, for that insightful discussion. And now we have heard from an expert in food processing. Let us now go to the subject of boosting our health with nutraceuticals and functional food ingredients. So our next speaker is currently the Senior Science Research Specialist at the Chemicals and Energy Division of the Industrial Technology Development Institute. Ms. Walde received her master's degree in chemical biology from prestigious Chulaborn Graduate Institute of Chulaborn Royal Academy in Bangkok, Thailand, and her bachelor's degree in biochemistry at the University of Santo Tomas. Her research work focuses on isolation, identification, and characterization of natural products, in silico computational design using molecular docking, application of essential oils, natural colorants, and natural larvicides, as well as the development of nature-based healthcare and professional care products. She has co-authored 10 publications and a utility model. She has recently won an award as Best Oral Presenter at the annual convention of the National Institute of Health last March of 2022. Moreover, she also received several NAST Publication Award. Currently, she is a member of the Natural Product Society of the Philippines and the Philippine Alliance of Laboratory Equipment Users. Let us now hear from Ms. Ricame Zinca Marie Walde, the Senior Science Research Specialist from the Chemicals and Energy Division of the DOST-ITDI, on her topic, Food Handling and Processing, the Proper Way to Prepare Your Food.
So a very blessed morning to everyone. I hope everybody is still staying safe and healthy. I'm Rika Zinco Marie Alwalde from the Chemicals and Energy Division of ITDI, and my topic would be about boosting health with nutraceuticals and functional ingredients. I think it's an understatement when I say that COVID-19 has caused an immense global socioeconomic disruption, as hundreds of thousands of people continue to be affected each day. It continues to impact almost every aspect of our lives. And due to its high direct mortality for such a contagious disease, COVID-19 has placed an extreme pressure on healthcare systems and has created numerous challenges for both patients and healthcare providers. And direct stresses include the rapid consumption of inpatient and outpatient medicines. I remember that there was a time wherein paracetamol was always out of stock in several drugstores. And of course, there's the challenge because of isolation that has impacted our critical care services. And there is also the delay in cancer diagnosis and treatment initiation, as well as an increased susceptibility of those with pre-existing chronic diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and chronic respiratory illnesses. Additionally, some indirect health system factors include alcoholism and drug abuse. And of course, is a reduced physical activity because basically we could not go outside before SARS because a lot of establishments are closed, and there is also a major dietary shift to unhealthy food choices. And that is why the additional benefits or defense brought by the consumption of various nutraceuticals and functional foods is now needed more than ever. But before we move forward, let's first establish some concepts. Nutraceuticals is a term as it's an amalgamation of nutrients and pharmaceuticals, and it was coined in 1989 by Stephen DeFelice. Stephen DeFelice was the founder and the chairman of the Foundation for Innovation for Medicine. And according to DeFelice, nutraceuticals are food or parts of a food that provide health benefits, including the prevention and treatment of disease. Nutraceuticals is actually a comprehensive umbrella term and can be classified on the basis of their sources. So we have the natural or traditional nutraceuticals, and we also have the unnatural or non-traditional nutraceuticals. So traditional nutraceuticals basically means that there has been no changes to the food or the product, while non-traditional nutraceuticals are composed of those artificial foods developed via biotechnology. So under the traditional nutraceuticals, we have the chemical constituents, also have the nutraceutical enzymes, and we also have the probiotic microorganisms. On the other hand, under the non-traditional nutraceuticals, we have the fortified and recombinant nutraceuticals. So let's first explore the traditional nutraceuticals. So under chemical constituents, we have the nutrients, which includes amino acids, fatty acids, minerals, and vitamins with recognized nutritional functions. We also have the herbs or herbals, which are plants that can be processed in many ways depending on each of our individual preferences. And for example, we have the garlic extracts, ginger root, and aloe vera gel, which are herbs that have health benefits such as reducing cholesterol levels, wound healing, anti-ulcer, and even antioxidant activities. And recently, it was found that neem plant, together with Eurycoma longifolia and Vernonia amygdalina, has been found to have a potential activity against SARS-CoV-2. And another category under the chemical constituents is the phytochemical. So these are secondary metabolites with particular biological activities that promote our health. And this can be concentrated or purified compounds from plants that have active components for biochemical and metabolic reactions. And one example is the flavonoids. So flavonoids have been recently found as well to have a bioactivity against the SARS-CoV-2 main protease enzyme. And let's now go to the other category, which are the nutraceutical enzymes. So this basically are derived from plant, animal, or microbial sources. And as we all know, enzymes are an essential part of life, without which our bodies would cease to function optimally. And it has been said that medical conditions such as blood sugar disorders, digestive problems, and obesity have their symptoms eliminated by the use or the addition of nutraceutical enzyme supplements in their diet. So some examples of nutraceutical enzymes are hemicellulase and glucoamylase. And next, we have the probiotic microorganisms. So probiotic microorganisms are essentially live microorganisms which, when consumed in tolerable amounts, confer a health effect on the host. So these microorganisms are responsive bacteria that promote healthy digestion as well as absorption of some nutrients. So lactobacillus is actually the most common probiotic. And of course, we all know it can be found in Yakult or in other yogurt drinks. And aside from lactobacillus, there are also other strains which are currently used as a probiotic, such as bifidobacterium and streptococcus. And now let's go to the non-traditional nutraceuticals, which are fortified and recombinant. So fortified nutraceuticals can be from agrarian breeding, and these are added nutrients and or ingredients to improve the value of a specific product. For example, an orange juice. So we can enhance the medicinal or beneficial effect of an orange juice by adding calcium. Also, we also have some products milk products rather, that can be fortified with cholecalciferol and can now be used in vitamin D deficiency. On the other hand, we have the recombinant nutraceuticals. So these are produced by both genetic recombination and biotechnology. And this type of foods and crops are genetically modified to develop products that contain recombinant compounds and proteins that would make them more beneficial to our health. So some examples are iron rice, golden mustard, and multivitamin corn. So another term which is confused and used interchangeably with nutraceuticals is the functional foods. So functional foods is described by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics as whole foods along with fortified, enriched, or enhanced foods with potential beneficial effect on our health. So, in relation to that, our division, the Chemicals and Energy Division, continues to strive to develop technologies that can improve our daily lives through R&D, technology transfers, technical assistance, and supportive services. So in CED, we have 4 sections, which are the energy section, industrial chemicals, process development, and the pharmaceutical section. So we are all working hand in hand to produce and develop technologies that can improve our daily lives. So I would like to take this opportunity to be able to showcase the different technologies that have been developed before and the projects that have been conducted, as well as the ongoing projects. So first is the herbal tea and capsule from guayabano leaves. This is a utility model. This project was spearheaded by Dr. Rosalinda Torres in 2014. So as we all know, guayabano or Annona muricata has a variety of medicinal benefits. For example, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic. It can also act as a anti-tumor, and also it can also have an analgesic effect. So in this technology, we have followed the WHO standard protocol for the processing of the leaves and fruit of guayabano. And in this product, the pesticide residues and heavy metal content fall within the reference limit, as well as the total plate count, total coliform count, and molds and yeast. And the Salmonella species were also found to be absent. And it was also found out that the total phenolics is around 1.03% expressed as gallic acid. And also the total dietary fiber of the dietary supplement is around 47.4% weight per weight. And another technology is the dietary supplement from malunggay, duhat, and saba. This is also a utility model spearheaded by Ma'am Tet Bonifacio. And as we all know, malunggay, duhat, and saba has a lot of medicinal properties as well. And in this technology, we have used the leaf extract of malunggay and duhat, as well as the unripe fruit of saba. And it has shown that it has a blood sugar lowering effect at 400 milligram per kilogram body weight. And the product also showed the presence of secondary metabolites such as flavonoids, alkaloids, saponins, amino acids, tannins, glycosides, and anthraquinones. And the LD50 to female ICR mice is around 32.9 gram per kilogram body weight. I would like to show you the project by none other than spearheaded by Dr. Annabel Briones last 2018, the Modular Multi-Industry Innovation Center for Oils, Blends, and Sauces, or MMIC. So MMIC was created to address the concerns of different industrial sectors, such as the absence of equipment for R&D, economic assistance, technology assistance, and lack of efficient manufacturing facilities. So MMIC was equipped with multifunctional application modular unit operation equipment that can be retrofitted to different manufacturing lines. Moreover, MMIC was envisioned to cater to food, dietary food supplements, and personal care products as well. And some of the prototype products that were developed are seed oils from calamansi, pili pulp, avocado, and coconut oil. We also have some products such as the nano-encapsulated herbal tea with guyabano, banaba, mangosteen, and malunggay. And we were also able to develop dietary supplements from calamansi peels and pulp and mango peels and pulp. And we also have the soluble and insoluble dietary fibers from calamansi, mango, pili, tomato, and banana. We were also able to develop virgin oil-based salad dressings with VCO and pili pulp oil, and virgin oil-based sauces such as tomato sauce with VCO and pili, basil sauce with pili oil. And we also have the prototype product of a ready-to-drink herbal tea blend with panaba, guayabano, mangosteen, and malunggay. Another project of CED is the green oil and phytochemicals from cashew. So this is an ongoing project, also spearheaded by Dr. Annabel Briones, which started last 2021. So this project is a collaborative R&D activity of DOST-ITDI and the Institute of Agro-Products Processing Science and Technology of Shandong Academy of Agricultural Science in China. So actually, the green oil from cashew was identified in the Joint Commission meeting on S&T between DOST and the Ministry of Science and Technology of China as one of their cooperative areas. So this project focuses on the production of green oil and phytochemicals from cashew using SCFE and mechanical extractions. So this collaborative project also conducts R&D studies on the production of cardinol and anacardic acid from the cashew nut shell liquid, or CNSL. And also, we are also going to conduct application studies of green oils in health foods. For example, we have a prototype product of cashew milk, and also we are also going to develop a food in the form of yogurt, and also it's the application of the green oils in personal care and cosmetic products in the form of face cream, a toner, a body scrub, and shampoo. And with that, if you are interested in a research collaboration, if you have any question or if you need any technical assistance, you can contact us anytime through this contact information. And with that, I would like to thank you all for listening.
Okay, thank you very much for your lecture, Ms. Zinka. Thank you for introducing us to the wonderful world of nutraceuticals. So there are burning questions here na interesado sila sa mga products and services ng Chemicals and Energy Division of the DOST-ITDI. And of course, we are very much willing to accommodate your questions if you want to consult with our scientists here at DOST-ITDI. You may schedule an appointment with us, and you may visit MMIC and the many different facilities that we have here at DOST Bicutan, Taguig City. And to learn more about our services and technologies, you may also like our Facebook page at DOST-ITDI Updates. And para po sa mga nagtatanong dito if they can have a copy of the presentations of our speakers, we will send that to you. Basta po dapat kayo ay registered participants in this webinar. So later on po, we will send all the presentations so you can use them for your reference. Again, thank you po, Ms. Zinka, for your presentation on nutraceuticals. And now, after talking about how to boost our health with nutraceuticals and functional food ingredients, how do we know if our packaging materials are safe from contaminants? Our next speaker is equipped with his bachelor's degree in chemistry and master's degree in environmental science from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He finds his passion in working on studies concerning method development and validation, food and beverage contamination, environmental pollution, and human exposure and risk assessments. He is also one of the country's pioneers in metrology, particularly in the fields of inorganic and environmental chemistry. He facilitated the production of several inorganic reference materials and provision of accuracy-based proficiency testing schemes for local laboratories before he transferred to the Packaging Technology Division of the DOST-ITDI as a supervising science research specialist. Currently, he is the laboratory head of the Packaging Testing Laboratory and oversees the conduct of researches on packaging contaminants. Here to discuss the principles, projects, and trends on packaging safety, Mr. Ellison Encarnacion.
Hey everyone, I am Ellison Encarnacion, the laboratory head of the Packaging Testing Laboratory of DOST-ITDI PTD. and I am here to discuss about food packaging and safety. Let's begin. First, we have to define what packaging is. Packaging is any wrapping material around an item, so in this case, food or beverage, that intends to first, identify, describe, and promote. Second, contain. Third, protect and preserve. And four, provide additional benefits. So we'll discuss these in detail. So identification, description, and promotion. Packaging informs us regarding its contents and its significant characteristics. So whether we are the producers, distributors, or the consumers, packaging allows us to easily distinguish an item from others and evaluate its suitability. Administrative Order 2014-0030, issued by the Department of Health, requires mandatory labeling on pre-packaged food products, which includes product name, complete list of ingredients, nutrition facts, among others. Packaging also promotes or serves as a silent salesman. So design also plays a key role for a buyer to choose a specific product from a wide range of competing commodities, let's say in a supermarket shelf. Next, containment. So packaging encloses the content for efficient transport, distribution, and storage. So packaging temporarily holds the product so that it may either be transferred from one location to another or be kept until the time of consumption. Third importance is protection and preservation. So packaging ensures content is secured from factors that may cause degradation. So vibration, shocks, dust, sunlight may cause physical degradation. Microorganisms and pests may cause biological degradation. And moisture, gases may cause chemical degradation. Next is provision of additional benefits. So advancements in science and engineering have explored possibilities for packaging. And in this slide, you can actually see other innovations for packaging. So we have single-use sachets for economic purposes. We have easy-to-carry boxes for transport, easy-to-open cans. We have resealable pouches. We also have self-heating bento boxes. And there are also packaging that no longer require you to use a cashier. So these are no checkout packaging. We have containers that have sensors. So we are able to monitor the freshness of the product or the ripeness. There are also packaging that are infused with nanoparticles for antimicrobial and antiviral action. So there are different innovations now in packaging. Now, we discuss the types of packaging. There are actually three common types. The first is primary packaging. And these are those that are in direct contact with the food or beverage. So in our example here, the tomato soup is in direct contact with the can. So the can acts as the primary packaging. Now, secondary packaging are those that are used to contain and to ship one or more of the primary packaging, while the tertiary packaging does the same for the secondary packaging. So in this case, several cans placed in a paper tray and sealed with a shrink wrap, both the paper tray and the shrink wrap act as the secondary packaging. When these these sets of cans are placed inside boxes with a wooden pallet, the boxes and the wooden pallet serve as the tertiary packaging. Now, although not actual packaging, there's what we call the ancillary packaging, which are essential consumables needed to efficiently fulfill the purpose of packaging. And examples of these are adhesives, our tapes and straps, the inks in our labels, and cushioning materials as shown in this slide. Now we have common types of packaging materials. So there are actually four common types: the glass, metal, paper, and plastic. And each has its own advantages and disadvantages. So for example, glass and metal are excellent barriers to moisture and gases, but we know that glass is easily breakable and metals are susceptible to corrosion. On the other hand, paper and plastics are inexpensive, but papers perform poorly in extending shelf life of food, and plastics degrade poorly when disposed improperly in the environment. So when these materials are used as primary packaging, again, in direct contact with the food or beverage, a chemical process called migration potentially occurs. Migration refers to the transfer of a component or a contaminant from the packaging to the food or beverage it is in contact with. So as such, the food now becomes adulterated and the consumer becomes at risk upon product consumption. So the extent to which migration occurs usually depends on various factors. And these are the factors affecting migration. So first, physicochemical properties of the migrating component or contaminant. So for example, small compounds below 1,000 Daltons can move across non-inert permeable materials like paper and plastics. So contaminants from the label, printing inks, and the adhesives outside the packaging can actually penetrate the physical barrier and migrate to the food and beverage inside. The next is the type of packaging material, which we discussed earlier. So an example is this: heavy metals can leach out of tin cans and aluminum foils, while phthalates and phenols can leach out of plastics. A third factor is the type of food. So we can say that cooking oil, for example, is more likely to extract and dissolve unwanted lipophilic or fat-loving contaminants in packaging than distilled water because of the former's non-polar nature. Other factors include temperature and time of contact. More often than not, hot food and beverages that are in contact with contaminated packaging for a long period of time tend to extract a larger number of pollutants. So that is why the Packaging Technology Division of DOST-ITDI conducts research studies on packaging safety. And packaging safety is actually one of its areas of interest, as you can see from the slide. So migration studies are part of this packaging safety area and is actually critical in the said field's scientific framework. And the framework looks like this. So we can see the sub-research areas of packaging safety. So since results need to be reliable, the framework begins with method development and validation to ensure the accuracy of the methods that we are using. Afterwards, when the method is validated, we now determine the concentrations of the contaminants in actual samples. And the samples are often determined through surveys or through statistical reports. Afterwards, we move to the core of packaging safety, which is the migration studies. Here, we observe or we study the behavior of the contaminants as they move from the packaging material to the food or beverage it is in contact with. And eventually, when the data from these studies are obtained, they will be useful in more complex research areas that you can see in the outermost portion of the framework. So for example, in environmental transport studies. So here we can determine how the contaminant will transfer from the packaging material to soil or to a body of water when the packaging material is disposed improperly. There are also exposure and risk assessment studies where we compute for these exposure and risk based on the consumption of the population. There are also toxicological and epidemiological studies. So here we study how the contaminant affects living organisms and what are the existing methods of treatment. There's also shelf life analysis. So here we determine how long before the food or the beverage spoils at particular environmental conditions and what we can do to improve or to lengthen or to extend the shelf life. But there is one actually ultimate goal of the packaging safety team, which is to be able to assist regulatory bodies such as the FDA, DTI, DOH, and DNR in setting the national limits for packaging manufacturers and also for the consumers, so as to guarantee public health and safety and also to protect the environment. So now we are going to discuss some of the projects that we have done and also our ongoing projects. The first is the evaluation of canned goods. So this has particular focus on lead, which is a heavy metal known to damage the brain and the kidney. So lead was determined in several canned products. And here you can see that 4 out of 6 sardines and tomato sauce were found to contain traces of lead. And they were both above the laboratory's detection limit and the acceptable value set by Codex and the EU. So as an intervention, the proponents conducted consultative meetings with the sardine manufacturers. This is to help them see if the lead was actually from the fish product, or was it from the can, or was it acquired during the canning process. Another previous project is the moisture and gas barrier performance of flexible packaging materials. So commercially available packaging were selected and were determined for their transmission rates of moisture and gas. So we can see that the results here indicate that OPP-CPP has higher transmission rate of both moisture and oxygen than a blend of PET and LLDPE. So the results can assist consumers to determine a better use for that particular type of plastic. So this may suggest that among the samples analyzed, OPP-CPP may be best for products that require respiration, such as your lettuce or your broccoli, while your PET and LLDPE composites may be better for food products that prevent water, which are hygroscopic, such as salts and chips. A recent project is on benzophenone. It's a carcinogenic that was banned by US FDA in late 2020. So in this, we found traces of benzophenone in coffee cups and several brown bags similar to where we put our pandesal. So while the values, you can see from the table, are lower than the set limits, it should be noted that regular use, combined use, or multiple use of these products may result to potential accumulation and compound effects. So imagine if a person whose daily breakfast includes a cup of coffee with a cup using with this particular amount of benzophenone and pandesal from brown bags containing this amount of benzophenone. Ongoing projects, an example of an ongoing activity is where we validate overall migration from food grade plastics. So here we compare different standard methods from different countries, and we try to develop our own laboratory method and use that to analyze the 7 different types of plastics, the resin identification code that you see under the plastic containers. And here we intend that the results of this activity will lead us to answering questions such as, how many times can we microwave or reuse a plastic container and still consider it safe from migration? Another ongoing project is on ESBO. So Here, we try to develop a method for the determination of the said compound. It's a known plasticizer and stabilizer used in sealing the gaskets of metal lids for glass jars. Since we are an exporter of Spanish sardines and ESBO is soluble in oil, so this is an area of concern. So while not much study has been conducted for ESBO, we intended to pursue this study because previous research indicated adverse effects on livers and kidneys of laboratory rats. Another ongoing project is on phthalates. It's very similar to the benzophenone project mentioned earlier. So phthalates are additives used as plasticizer. So they make packaging more flexible, durable, and transparent. However, they are known to be linked to cancers, metabolic disorders, male infertility, and pregnancy loss. So that's why we are hoping to compute for exposure of local consumers to phthalates. One that I am working on is on PFAS. PFAS are emerging contaminants used to make paper resistant to grease and moisture. So, however, they have been studied to suppress the effects of several vaccines. So that's what makes it interesting, right? So in this pandemic, in this time when we regularly order takeout and delivery for safety, but also need to get our vaccines against diseases like COVID-19, our level of protection may be compromised. And that is actually one of the questions that this study and its succeeding studies is hoping to address. So there are numerous contaminants that had not been fully studied yet. So much work needs to be done. As I mentioned earlier, one of the ultimate goals of the packaging safety team is to be able to provide regulatory bodies scientific data in setting up national limits and to allow our lawmakers in drafting policies for food contact materials. We usually just borrow values and other information from developed countries, but when we come to think of it, we are very different in many ways. For one, the Philippines is a tingi country, so we depend on retail. So whether it's chips or condiments, we acquire in small portions. So the frequency of exposure to contaminants in those packaging will vary compared to another country. The second is our culture of sayang, the culture of resourcefulness and thriftiness, where we reuse plastic containers and bottles. In fact, a common joke would be the reusing of ice cream tubs. So, so children are guessing if the ice cream tub inside the freezer contains ice cream or fish. So the questions that we would like to answer would be, is it okay to reuse them for a different purpose? Or is migration occurring if the product was changed, if the product inside was changed? Next is our local preference, purchase, and consumption. So most of our viands are oily, they're saucy and soupy. And a number of our population purchase these from carinderias that package them in plastic labo. And in fact, while they're even still hot. So it will be very interesting to know the chemistry occurring at the boundary of the package and the content. In terms of consumption, we are also different because we are a developing nation. So our purchasing power is not as high as other countries. So again, we go back to small portions. And with that, we are very thankful that the DOST recognizes the need to include the study of packaging contaminants in its food safety roadmaps. Here in the R&D roadmap, we can see that the field had been incorporated, and we look forward to it being considered again in the future. The same is true for the S&T roadmap. Here, we are looking forward to slowly working on our framework. So this includes, if you're able to read this, and method validations, and eventually determination of actual samples. A final output would be to multiply ourselves and enhance the capability of our regional laboratories, particularly in packaging chemical testing. And with that, I would like to discuss more of our future projects, but perhaps there will be other venues. So I hope that this short introduction to packaging safety by DOST-ITDI is sufficient for the time being. And should you have information to share, questions to ask, or desire for collaboration, you can contact us through the following. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Encarnacion, for that interesting lecture on packaging materials and for walking us through the packaging safety framework and also explaining the various tests done to ensure safety of the content from the contamination. And now we have come to the last but equally important lecture we have prepared for you today. Our next speaker is a licensed chemist. She finished her BS Chemistry degree at the University of the Philippines in the Visayas in 2005 and her MS in Chemistry degree at the University of Santo Tomas in 2018. Currently, she is the head of the Chemistry Laboratory and the officer in charge of the Standards and Testing Division Industrial Technology Development Institute. Before joining the ITDI, she was the technical manager of the Food and Nutrition Research Institute Proficiency Testing Laboratory, which offers PT programs for nutrition labeling components and prepares secondary reference materials that local laboratories use for accuracy measurement in routine testing. Her expertise in analytical testing include alcohols and fatty acids using gas chromatography, sugar profile, and preservatives testing using high-performance liquid chromatography, and wet analyses on food, feeds, and natural products. Her R&D experience include development of natural colorants from local crops and development of halal cosmetics and toiletries. Currently, Ms. Parcon is the leader of the project on scale-up production, stability, and applications of natural colorants for cosmetics, and the project on establishment of halal assurance management system and halal compliant standardized process for spa skincare products for the halal tourism industry. So to give us background on food preservatives and develop analytical methods of regulatory compliance, may I call on Ms. Maria Rachel V. Parcon.
To MMHRDC, PCHRD, the ITDI community, and to our participants in this virtual forum, good morning. My name is Rachel from the DOST Industrial Technology Development Institute, and today I am going to present to you one of our laboratory's validated method, which is timely because of the current increased awareness of the public pertaining to the safety of the food that they consume. Today, I will be sharing with you sodium benzoate in food, safety, regulation, and validated analytical test method for regulatory compliance. This will be the outline of my presentation. We will have a brief discussion of the picture of food safety in the Philippines as well as in the ASEAN region. We will tackle the available preservatives in the market, specifically the sodium benzoate, its regulations and health concerns. We will identify the gaps in terms of testing capabilities for food safety. And finally, I will present the validated test method by the ITDI for sodium benzoate in fruit juice. According to the Codex Alimentarius, food safety is the assurance that food will not cause any harm to the consumer when it is prepared and or eaten according to its intended use. A food is deemed safe when it is free from biological, chemical, and physical hazards. Currently, there is no single basis for the evaluation of conformity assessment for the technical barriers to trade within the ASEAN region. Each country has its own regulations, especially the maximum permissible limits for test parameters on food safety. Moreover, different laboratories use different test methods, which in effect equates to different levels of accuracy and reliability. With the implementation of RA 10611 or the Food Safety Act of 2013, the Philippine government is identifying the gaps and the demands for prioritization of food safety parameters. In 2021, a survey was conducted among the members of the Technical Committee on Harmonization of Test Methods for Food Safety Parameters for the AOAC Southeast Asia, wherein the Philippines chairs this TC through the ITDI Director, Dr. Annabel V. Briones. During the initial survey, preservatives emerged to be among the top 5 priority food safety test parameters among the ASEAN countries, together with mycotoxins, pesticide residues, allergens, and pathogenic microorganisms. Preservatives are food additives that prevent spoilage of food products by inhibiting the growth of bacteria, fungi, and the oxidation of food components. They are considered generally recognized as safe or GRAS, but may pose health hazards to humans when consumed in excessive amounts. The joint FAO-WHO Expert Committee on Food Additives, or the CHECFA, is the international body responsible for evaluating the safety of food additives, and only food additives evaluated and deemed safe by CHECFA with established maximum levels by the Codex Alimentarius Commission can be used in foods that are traded internationally. There are several types of preservatives currently being used for food, and we will discuss some of them here. So we will start first with salt. Salt is the most basic preservative, which we always find in our pantries, in the office, or in our household. Salt is used to reduce the amount of water in the food cells to inhibit the growth of microorganisms. This is commonly used to preserve fish and other seafoods, kagaya ng mga tuyo. We use this also to salt the eggs, for our salted eggs, and salted meat, which is popular in the northern part of Luzon. Next, among the foods that contain preservatives are the processed meat, and people love eating processed meat. In the Philippines, we have tocino, longanisa, hamon, and sausages, and these meat products contain nitrites as their preservative. Breakfast cereals, which are more popular in Western countries, contain butylated hydroxyanisole, or BHA, or butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHT, as its preservative. Another popular food in the market that we include as pasalubong are the dried fruits, and these contain sulfite as preservative. ITDI also has a validated method for sulfite in dried mango using the optimized Monnier-Williams method based from the AOAC. This is actually a preferred method in the European market, and we have already assisted several local companies of dried fruits for the export market. So malaking tulong that we have these validated methods already available at ITDI. Next among the preservatives are the parabens. Parabens are preservatives that can be found in baked products like the breads, the cookies, and other pastries. And lastly, we have the benzoates, which are widely used preservatives to several types of foods, and this will be our topic of interest today and will be expounded later in this presentation. Sodium benzoate is one of the first preservatives that has been approved by FDA as food additive. It is also generally recognized as safe or GRAS by FDA, which means that it is safe until quantity is above the permissible limits. There are several foods in the market containing sodium benzoate, which includes the pickles, the salad dressings, sauces like tomato sauce or ketchup, soda, and wine. So there is actually a wide array of food products that contain benzoates. Thus, we, as frequent consumers of preserved foods, we must be very vigilant and watchful in the variety as well as the amount of foods that we consume that contain preservatives. There are a number of health concerns raised with the use of benzoates as a food additive. First in the list of these concerns is the formation of cancer-causing benzene from the reaction of benzoates with vitamin C under elevated temperature. Several studies, including the International Agency for Research on Cancer, or the IARC of the World Health Organization, confirmed that carbonated drinks containing a mixture of sodium benzoate and vitamin C can cause cancer and other chronic conditions. This is the reason that allowable levels for benzoates in carbonated drinks that contain vitamin C are regulated to a lower level. Currently, the maximum level for benzoates in carbonated drinks is at 150 milligrams per kilogram only. Other health concerns with the consumption of benzoates include the development of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. This is more common among the children, no? Yung mga bata na hyperactive. There are also cases reported on allergies like itching and swelling to hypersensitive individuals. There are also reports on low-grade inflammation in the body, which can be chronic to people with obesity, and oxidative stress, which increases the free radicals that damage the cells, increasing risk to chronic diseases. So maraming health concerns pertaining to excessive consumption of sodium benzoate in food. The DOST-BFAD, who is now the Philippine Food and Drug Administration, issued a Bureau Circular in 2006 to all manufacturers, distributors, importers, and wholesalers of processed food products distributed in the country. This circular provided a list of approved food additives and identified the maximum use levels for each type of food. One of the objectives of this Bureau Circular is to establish a regulation prescribing the maximum quantity of food additive that may be used or permitted to remain in or on such food. This aims to harmonize the local food regulations with the international control laws to ensure market access opportunities and public health and safety. In this same Bureau Circular, the maximum use level of different types of food products containing benzoates were identified to be at 500 to 2,100 milligrams per kilogram, which are lower than the FDA set limit of 5,000 parts per million. Overall, low exposure to benzoates appears to be non-toxic, but consuming a high amount may be poisonous. That is why its amount added in food is being regulated, and there is the need to know how much of this preservative is actually present in the food that we consume. The Philippines had already faced several barriers to trade issues and food recalls, including 11 cases of presence or of elevated levels of additives and contaminants from the EU Rapid Alert System for Food and Feed. So the FDA issued the revised rules and regulations governing the labeling of pre-packaged food products, wherein food additive information must be indicated in the label of the products. However, the bigger challenge right now is the insufficient number of local chemical testing laboratories capable of preservatives testing. In a focus group discussion conducted by the ITDI National Metrology Laboratory, only 12 out of 65 labs are capable of testing food additives, including the preservatives. So there is actually the challenge in terms of availability of testing facilities that will determine how much of these food additives are present in the processed foods that we eat, so that our regulatory body will be able to monitor the practices and compliance of our local food manufacturers. In a publication of the DOH on health policy notes, it was emphasized that the identified gaps of the Philippine FDA in improving its analytical capability include the unavailability of scientific research data and studies on food safety and food safety issues in the country, as well as the unavailability of laboratory infrastructure and equipment to conduct tests and assist in monitoring industry compliance to issues and concerns related to food safety. So the DOST-ITDI, through its Standards and Testing Division, validated a method based from AOAC for the determination of sodium benzoate in food juice using high-performance liquid chromatograph. In the succeeding slides, I will be presenting to you the procedure and the results of the method validation as conducted by the chemistry laboratory of the Standards and Testing Division. We have 3 different solutions prepared for the conduct of analysis. First is the acetic acid sodium acetate buffer. We did this by dissolving sodium acetate and acetic acid in distilled water and adjust the pH to 4.5. Second is the mobile phase. This is the solution that will carry our analyte of interest into the detector. We did this by mixing 20 volume parts of acetonitrile with 80 volume parts of the acetic acid sodium acetate buffer solution, adjusted pH to 4.5, and filtered the solution using a nylon membrane filter. Lastly, we prepare the benzoate standard solution. So we prepare a stock solution by dissolving a known amount of sodium benzoate, analytical standard, and dissolve it to 100 ml with the mobile phase. From this stock solution, we prepare our working standard solutions for the establishment of our calibration curve in increasing concentration within 5 to 120 milligrams per liter, dilute the solution using the mobile phase, and filter before transferring to the HPLC vials. For the sample preparation, we weighed 5 grams of the sample in 50 ml volumetric flask and diluted to volume with distilled water. The solution was filtered using 0.2 microliter syringe filter, and finally analyzed using HPLC with photodiode array, or PDA, as its detector, which has high selectivity and can identify different substances by their spectra. For instrumentation, we use high-performance liquid chromatograph attached to a computer with quaternary pump, programmable autosampler, and PDA as a detector. We used C18 analytical column. We set the injection volume at 20 microliters and flow rate at 0.7 ml per minute. And the sodium benzoate was detected specifically at 234 nanometer wavelength at 11.7 minute retention time. This is an example of the chromatogram from the analysis of benzoic acid as the standard used for the analysis of sodium benzoate. So you can see here that the peak was identified at 11.7 minute retention time. After we ran the standards, we analyzed the fruit juice sample, and the same peak was noted at 11.7 minute retention time. We also analyzed spike samples to determine if we can actually recover the known amount of analyte in the standard that was added into the sample, and I will be showing you the results for the recovery test in the succeeding slides. So in any analytical method, it is very important that we use high purity standards so that we will be able to eliminate presence of interferences and to easily quantify our analytes of interest. For the computation of the results, we established the linear relationship between the analyzed working standard solutions and the peak area of the analytes. So as the concentration increases, we can see that the peak area also increases. With this linear relationship, we will use the equation y is equal to mx plus b for the computation of sodium benzoate in the sample, wherein y is the peak area of the sample, x is the concentration of benzoic acid in the sample expressed as milligrams per kilogram, m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. This is the formula for the computation of sodium benzoate. Since we use benzoic acid as our working standard, we will convert it into sodium benzoate with a little stoichiometry using the molecular weight of sodium benzoate equivalent to 144.1 grams per mole over the molecular weight of benzoic acid, which is 122.1 grams per mole. And then from here, we obtain the sodium benzoate concentration in the sample at expressed in milligrams per kilogram. And then we report the results. This table shows the results of the method validation conducted in the laboratory against the set performance characteristics. For linearity, the analysis is linear at 5 to 120 milligrams per liter working range. It has a correlation coefficient of 0.999, which is acceptable, and residuals are randomly distributed, meaning there were no trends noted or observed in the residual plot. Trueness was established in terms of recovery, as discussed earlier, using a separate stock standard solution, and results obtained were at 98 to 99% for low, medium, and high concentration. For precision, results are acceptable, which fall within the acceptable limits for low, medium, and high concentrations of sodium benzoate. In terms of selectivity, there were no interfering peaks identified, as you have seen in the previous slide of the sample chromatogram. For the detection limit, the instrument detection limit was set at 0.012 milligrams per liter, and the method detection limit is at 0.2 milligrams per liter. Given that the remarks are all acceptable, we conclude that the validated method is fit for its intended use. So we can already use this method for the analysis of different fruit juices which may contain sodium benzoate as their preservative. The laboratory also participated in proficiency testing schemes to establish the laboratory's competence in the conduct of sodium benzoate analysis through an inter-laboratory comparison. A PT organized by the ITDI National Metrology Division, Metrology and Chemistry on mango juice was participated, and a satisfactory Z-score of 0.03 was obtained. The method was also used in another PT scheme on banana ketchup, and a satisfactory Z-score of 0.50 was obtained. Currently, sodium benzoate is included in the laboratory's scope of ISO IEC 17025 accreditation by the DTI Philippine Accreditation Bureau. So the compound annual growth rate for the global food safety testing, which has a market size of approximately $18 billion in 2018, increased by 7.7% from 2019 to 2025 due to the rise of chemical contamination cases in food industries following the increase in demands for packaged and processed food. The Technical Committee on the Harmonization of Test Methods identified the need to harmonize the methods used by testing laboratories in the conduct of food safety analysis to address issues and barriers to trade and harmonize the regulations within the ASEAN region. And finally, it was discussed that testing shall be carried out using the internationally approved procedures or methods of analysis that have been validated. That is the reason why the testing laboratories are doing this. We are doing this validation of method for it to be recognized internationally. As an outcome, the availability of a validated test method will benefit the manufacturing companies in making their products competitive, not only in the local, but also in the global market. It will increase the demand for testing facilities that use the methods of analysis that are validated and globally acceptable and recognized. And these validation activities will support the national government's efforts under the Food Safety Act of 2013 to implement a food safety regulatory system to ensure consumer health protection, fair trade practices, and global competitiveness of the Philippine products. These are the references used for this presentation. Maraming salamat po.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise about preservatives in our food, Ms. Rachel. So again, thank you very much to our speakers for sharing your knowledge to our participants this morning. And now, Dr. Hazel, we have come to the most important part of our activity this morning, the Q&A session. And at this point, may I ask our speakers to turn on their cameras and mics to address questions from the audience. And Dr. Hazel, are you ready? Let us take turns in reading questions. And I believe you already have one for us.
Yes, Meg. The discussion has been very fruitful, and we can actually see the eagerness of our participant to learn more from our expert resources speakers. So allow me now to read the first question in our list. This is for Ma'am Rachel Parcon. This is from our FB participant. And the question reads, apart from sodium benzoate and sulfite, which are already available at ITDI, what are other food safety test parameters are being developed or validated by ITDI testing laboratory?
Thank you po, Doc Hazel, for that question, and to our participant na throw out po nung question. Thank you so much. Apart from sodium benzoate and sulfite that are currently available in the laboratory, we also have our method for nitrites in processed meat. So we also offer this to the public, most especially to the industry, as a technical service. Apart from this, the laboratory currently has a plan for validation and development of different methods, particularly on food safety. So kasi nandun tayo sa time wherein food safety is actually at the top of the priority, but even sa ating DOST management priority ng DOST ang food safety studies and technical services na. So the plan of the laboratory is to develop and or validate test methods for allergens in baked products, particularly on cookies. And then we also plan to validate yung isa sa mga preservatives I presented earlier, yung parabens. And then we also plan to validate, although available na yung nitrite method in the laboratory, gusto natin ma-validate pa yung method para mas strengthen yung kanyang validity pagdating sa pag-analyze ng ating mga samples that are currently available in the market. So we also plan to validate methods for nitrites and phosphates. So priority natin itong mga parameters na ito because these are also the identified priority test parameters within the ASEAN region in relation to the Technical Committee on the Harmonization of Test Methods for Food Safety Parameters within the AOHC Southeast Asia. So yun. Apart from that, marami pang plans ang ITDI, specifically the Standards and Testing Division, on the validation of test methods so that we can cater more yung mga needs in terms of technical services ng ating industry. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Ma'am Rachel and Ma'am Meg for the next question, please.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Rachel. And Doc Hazel, we have another question here. So ito naman, very practical question. Ang tanong po na ito ay para kay Sir Charles Palya of FPD. Ang tanong po dito ng ating participant ay what are the ways to prevent cross-contamination in preparing food when the household only has one chopping board for food preparation?
Okay, so as I have said po during the presentation kanina, proper lang na paghugas ng utensils prior sa pagpalit ng raw material na pinaprocess natin. So, yun lang naman po yung if hindi tayo, well, basically hindi naman talaga tayo capable na mag-purchase ng more than 2 or yung magpalit-palit ng chopping board or knives sa bahay, tama. So, hugasan lang po natin bago gamitin sa bagong raw material or sa ibang raw material. Yan lang naman po.
Yes, okay. Thank you po, Sir Charles.
Thank you, Sir Charles. Okay, the next question actually sa inyo pa rin po pala ito, Sir Charles. Ating third question. How to join or be part of your team? I want to learn and do actual food research innovation. So this is from our participant in Zoom is Josel Abedo.
Dito po sa foods, well, you need to apply for kung may mga job openings or mga GIA projects or yung mga nag-hire ng contract of research, contractuals, yun, pwede po kayong mag-apply doon. Or if there are opening as a regular position, pwede rin po ninyong applyan. And I don't know lang po kasi ngayon kung tumatanggap nung OJT, yung ITDI. So, OJT is one way rin po sana yun na makapasok dito, ma-experience yung R&D and yun sa food na projects.
Okay po. Thank you, Sir Charles, for that. And i-add ko lang po na if interested po kayo na maki-engage with ITDI, you can write a letter of intent to our director, Dr. Annabel V. Briones, kung ano man po yung concern nyo, if you want to tour our labs or if there's an engagement academically that you want to, you need ITDI's help. So we are very much willing po na i-accommodate kayong lahat. But we need the first, of course, is the letter of intent na address po sa aming director na si Dr. Annabel Briones. So again, thank you po, Sir Charles, for that answer to the question. So next po is, this question is directed to Sir Ellison Encarnacion. Good morning, sir. Ang tanong po natin is,
good morning.
Yes, good morning po. Is there a way that consumers can check in the packaging, like a safety seal, to ensure that the packaging material is safe from chemical contaminants that can harm our health?
So as of the moment po kasi, wala pa tayong guidelines on, parang hindi pa tayo nakakapag-establish ng mga set limits natin dito locally. So ang ginagawa po natin is more of nagbaborrow lang tayo doon sa mga limits na sinet internationally. So in terms of a seal, parang hindi ko pa po siya nakikita. na magkakaroon ng parang seal for packaging materials. But we're working on it. So eventually po kapag meron na tayong na-draft na guidelines, hopefully, actually ano na po to with FDA. So baka po they will work on it na kung meron magkakaroon ng seal.
Okay po. Thank you po, Sir Ellie, for that answer. Okay,
Sir.
go ahead po.
Okay, our next question po is for Ms. Rica Mezinka. Are the technologies you have presented are commercially available already?
Thank you very much for that question po. So, for example, the Guyabana Health Supplement in tea and the dietary supplement with malunggay, duhat, and saba, those are actually ready technologies already. So it's actually ready for technology adoption. However, for the other products, for example, the prototype products rather under po ng MMIC, those are just prototype products pa lang po. So if you are interested, for example, in collaboration for us to be able to have a further research on those products, we are very much open po to collaborate with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you po, Ms.
Thank you,
Zinka,
ma'am.
for that answer. So, another question naman po, this is for Ms. Rachel Parcon. Ang tanong po is, this question is from Apollo Domingo of the Department of Agriculture. Ang question po niya is, do we have a regulation on imported product for the chemical, pesticides, and preservatives residue, like in Japan? The 0.02 chemical residue imported mango from the Philippines. As I know, we only regulate the pest contamination from other countries.
I will check on that, sir, no, but based doon sa ating Bureau Circular that I have shared kanina, there is a long list of food items wherein regulated yung ating mga additives that are incorporated into the food. Doon pagdating sa dried mango, for example, different countries kasi have different regulations. No, for example, yung experience namin in ITDI, meron kaming isang naging customer, frequent na siyang nag-export ng kanyang product. Yung product niya nakakapasok na in the ASEAN region as well as in the Middle East and in the US. However, nung tinry niyang pasukin ang European market, na-bar yung kanyang product because iba yung regulations also from the EU market. So, and also, very specific yung method na gusto ng European market for the test of sulfite in dried mango. So, yun yung gusto din natin i-address with this validation of test methods on food safety. This is the primary goal of the Technical Committee on the Harmonization of Test Methods on Food Safety for the AOAC Southeast Asia. Gusto nating i-harmonize yung method that we have here in the country, and then this particular method na na-harmonize natin will be applied for recognition within the ASEAN para naman yung mga products natin makapenetrate, no, doon sa different economies. Kahit man lang muna sa ASEAN, let's start with the ASEAN, dito muna tayo mag-benchmark, makapenetrate sila dito sa ASEAN countries, and we will go away with these barriers to trade. Siyempre, losses kasi yon, losses from the manufacturers, losses din sa economy of the Philippines. Pero in terms of the list, meron tayong mga list of preservatives or food additives that are being regulated doon sa Bureau Circular released by the Philippine FDA that was released in 2006. Thank you po.
Thank you, Ma'am Rachel, for addressing that very good question. Next question po is for Sir Encarnacion, Mr. Ellison. How do we ensure that the danger of vaccine weakening packaging materials are communicated to food distributors and consumers? So this is a question from our Zoom participant in news media, Mr. Nestor Lim.
Good morning po. Yun pong mga vaccine suppressors na mga packaging contaminants, hindi pa po talaga siya fully explored na field, and in fact, currently parang emerging pa lang yung mga researches sa Europe tsaka sa US on this. So parang lahat sila is talagang exploratory pa rin din. So as of now, parang hindi po natin siya i-declare, no, kung alin mga packaging mo mayroong mga let's say yung sa diniscuss kanina na may PFAS. Pero in terms of information dissemination naman po, the ITDI, the Packaging Technology Division, conducts seminars for information dissemination, for awareness. Usually directed po talaga kami towards our packaging stakeholders. Yung po sa sa general public, I believe we will work with FDA on this. So kung sakali pong merong mga results doon sa ating mga studies, ano po natin yan, i-coordinate with FDA para po sila yung officially mag-discuss nito sa public.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Ellison.
Okay, thank you din po, Sir Ellie, for that answer. Okay, another question we have here is from Emilia Barbacena via Zoom. Ang tanong po niya ay para kay Sir Charles. At her question is, can I inquire how to preserve mangoes? If possible, can I observe the right process? So perhaps do we have trainings po, Sir Charles, on mango preservation?
Yes, good morning po. Meron po tayong ino-offer na dried mango na processing na training, or pwede po ninyong i-check sa ITDI na YouTube channel. Meron pong video na doon kung paano i-process, paano yung paggawa ng dried mango. So, yun po. If pwede, kung gusto niyo pong mag-request ng actual training, mag-send lang po kayo ng letter of intent.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Charles. So we have another question po for Sir Ellison and Encarnacion. This is regarding the regarding the presence of lead in sardines. What have been done regarding this? And was the source identified and was it given appropriate action? So the question is from our Zoom participant, Ma'am Remedios de la Rosa.
Thank you po. As of after po the project, nagkaroon po ng mga consultative meetings with the sardine packaging manufacturer. So diniscuss po ito and tinignan po kung parang ipinresent po dito na meron nga pong lead doon sa mismong sardine product. But of course, yung pong kasing lead is either nandun talaga sa loob ng isda, yung pinagkuhanan, or nag-leach out siya doon sa can, or yun nga po, na-acquire siya doon sa canning process. As of now po, we will go back, no? So babalikan po natin yung ating mga packaging manufacturers, and hopefully kapag nakuha po namin yung sagot, we'll send po sa inyo. Sige po, just provide po your details and we can provide you information on this. But the names po of our packaging manufacturers, hindi po natin siya hindi pwedeng natin sabihin. But more on the action po. Titingnan po natin kung ano yung naging action ng per packaging manufacturer. Sige po.
Okay, thank you po, Sir Ellie, for that answer. And we have another question from Rafael Rico via Zoom chat. Ang question po niya ay para sa inyo ulit, Sir Charles. Good morning po. Magkakaroon po kaya ng seminar ang ITDI para dun po sa mga nais matuto hinggil sa proper food handling, food packaging at pagpe-preserve ng pagkain?
I think merong naka-line up na seminar yung ITDI for the following po, yung sa food processing and food preservation. Pwede po ninyong i-check yan sa ITDI Facebook page, or yun nga po, pwede rin po kayong mag-request noon letter of intent lang kung ano yung mga specific talaga na webinars na gusto po ninyo.
Thank you. Thank you for addressing that question, Sir Charles. Sir Charles, para po sa inyo, ang susunod ulit po na question na ito. Very relatable ito eh. Based po sa ilang brand ng cookware, ang 316 stainless steel that is stabilized with titanium ay mas magandang gamitin kumpara sa ibang gamit pangluto. Pero napakamahal po nito kumpara sa ordinaryong cookware. Ano po ba ang inyong comment dito, or baka meron po kayong recommendation?
With regards po sa paggamit ng stainless na utensils and equipment, ano po talaga yun, suggestion ng USFDA. Kasi yun yung pinaka-resistant sa migration ng heavy metals. Or kasi po, pag gumagamit tayo ng GI or yung mga, GI, yung mga kaldero natin na hindi stainless or yung Teflon coated, pwede pong, kung mapapansin po natin, after some time, nagninipis siya, tapos yung sa Teflon coating, nababakbak. So, saan po pwedeng pumunta yon? Sa pagkain natin. So, yun po, kahit na mahal, yun po yung pinaka-safe talaga.
Okay po, well noted yan, Sir Charles. So, hopefully nasagot po ang inyong katanungan. Next question naman po ay directed to Sir Ellie. Ang tanong po ng ating mamamahayag from Radyo Agila na si Ms. Bel Surara is, gaano po ba kahalaga ang packaging sa mga produkto? Ano po ba ang benepisyo na dulot nito sa consumer?
Yun po, yung una nating diniscuss no kanina, so napakahalaga po talaga ng packaging. And yung po sa discussion natin kanina, meron nga pong 4 na importance, which is yung una is para ma-identify natin, malaman natin kung ano bang laman nitong certain na ano bang produkto yung nandito sa loob. Yung pangalawa is ma-contain, malalagyan. Yung pangatlo is maprotektahan o mapreserba yung loob ng yung produkto sa loob. At yung pang-apat, may mga other pa pong benefits. So in terms of benefits, napakarami po talaga. Baka hindi ko ma-enumerate lahat, no? Pero bigyan ko po kayo ng isa. Meron po ang aming division na meron po kaming active packaging. So nag-develop po kami ng mga packaging materials na meron pong dagdag na tulong doon sa produktong na nakapaloob. So meron po na parang nagdadagdag ng antioxidants doon sa mismong produkto na nasa loob. So, meron din pong halimbawa yung sa intelligent packaging naman, meron po kaming produkto tas nasa loob po siya ng packaging. Pwedeng malaman po gamit yung isang sensor, no, kung ito po ba yung produkto natin ay palapit ng masira, ganun, or pahinog na yung isang prutas. So yun po, ilan lang po sa mga kahalagahan, benepisyo ng packaging.
Thank you. Thank you for addressing that question, Sir Ellison. We have another question from Radyo Aguila, our Zoom participant. Regarding po sa mga, this is for Ma'am Rica May Zinca. Regarding po sa mga supplements like guyabano capsules, out na po ba ito sa market and affordable po ba ang presyo nito?
Thank you po for that question, sir. Actually, as I've mentioned po, yung guyabano capsule and the tea are actually ready technologies already. So if there are private companies who are interested in adopting this technology, you can contact us. And moreover po, since nabanggit na po ni Sir Charles na may YouTube parang instructional video din po. Actually ang production po and how to process po yung guyabano capsule and tea, meron na po yan sa ating ITDI YouTube. So if you are interested, you can also check that out. And with regards po dun sa pricing po nitong product po na ito, I would have to check. And however, the primary objective of this particular technology is to be able to share nga po yung technology about how to do a standardized processing of health teas and health supplements rather. And basically, our aim is to provide a cost-effective and safe product. So I believe that this would be the cost would be very competitive naman with the commercial products na nasa market. Thank you.
Okay po. Thank you, Ms. Zinca, for answering that question. So nabanggit na lang din po ni Ma'am Zinca, available na po yung mga ibang training videos natin sa ITDI official YouTube channel. So yes, meron pong sariling YouTube channel ang DOST-ITDI and kinoment ko na po yan sa link. So sana po mag-subscribe kayo and i-like nyo po ang aming videos dahil po existing na yan. Meron po kami mga training videos on different food products. So you may check that out, and also So please like our Facebook page at DOST-ITDI Updates para po sa mga information about our upcoming trainings, mga services and products. And of course, you can also message us para po malaman kung paano po makipag-engage sa amin if you have any specific needs. So okay, let us proceed to the next question. So we have another question from the media, from Ms. Juvie de Guzman. Ang question po niya ay para kay Sir Charles. Sa ngayon po, marami ang gumagamit ng ordinary cookware, lalo na po yung manipis at alam po nating mura. Paano po maiiwasan ang mga sakit na makukuha sa paggamit nito?
Good morning po ulit. With regards sa mga sakit, paano maiiwasan ang mga sakit? Heavy metal contamination kasi yung nangyayari if ever na nasasama sa pagkain natin yung parts nung utensils or yung equipment na ginagamit natin. So through time na ano siya sa katawan natin, saka pagtanda, saka pa lang po natin nararamdaman 'yun. So pag umabot na po sa threshold level yung katawan natin is hindi na kaya yung contamination na yon, saka tayo magkakaroon ng parang poisoning. If correct me na lang if I'm wrong. Tapos yun po. So yung para po maiwasan natin yun, iwasan na rin po natin yung paggamit ng mga hindi ina-advise na cookwares.
Thank you, Sir Charles. Tama, no? Mas siguro po yung sinabi ni Sir Charles na mas mag-invest po tayo dun po sa mas recommended na mga cookware na ginagamit para maiwasan nga yung toxicity or mga sakit na dulot nito. Next question po tayo. Actually, Sir Charles, sa inyo po ito ulit. Sa mga kumakain ng raw vegetable like salad, ano po ba ang dapat ipanghugas aside from water? Marami nagsasabi na baking soda. Okay lang po ba ito?
Baking soda is hindi siya antimicrobial as far as I know. Hindi siya yung pang-disinfect talaga. Bali, panglinis lang po siya, pangtanggal ng dumi. Pero in terms of its microbial efficiency, hindi po siya ganun ka-effective talaga. Ina-advise po is chlorine solution, 50 ppm po yung ginagamit, or may mga ginagamit naman po na pang-disinfect na prepared na. So, pwede rin po yun. With fina-follow lang yung tamang use or yung procedure nung panglinis na yon. Yun po. And pagdating naman po sa leafy greens, dapat po iniisa-isa yung mga dahon or sa Chinese cabbage. Dapat mini-make sure natin na wala talaga, natatanggal talaga yung dumi, especially if we are eating it as a salad. So yun po.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sir Charles. So I guess in the interest of time, we will be having now, that would be our last question. But for questions directed to Dr. Agdepa, we will take note of your questions and we'll get back to the participants who asked the question through the email. So that ends our Q&A session. Thank you for your active participation, and to our STEAM resources speakers, salamat po for addressing all the questions. And now, to award the certificate to our resources speakers, may I please call on Dr. Seraida V. Ang, the Deputy Director of ATS of DOST-ITDI, and Dr. Hilton Lam, the Director of MMHRDC.
Doc Hazel, if I may add, we are supposed to be joined by Dr. Zoraida Ang, the Deputy Director of DOST-ITDI, but she has another equally important meeting at this time. So for now, Dr. Lam will do the honors of awarding the certificate of appreciation to our resource speaker. Dr. Lam, are you there po? Good afternoon. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I just caught the last part
of the discussion. So maganda. I like it very much. So I'm tasked to read out the certificate of appreciation. Tama ho ba, Ma'am Meg?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Right. All right. The Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium, in collaboration with the Department of Science and Technology, Industrial Technology Development Institute, and the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, awards this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa for exhibiting exemplary knowledge and competence as resource speaker in the research forum Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan at Kaligtasan, Pagharap sa Hamon ng Makabagong Panahon, held virtually via Zoom on May 17, 2022, signed Maria Luisa D. Enriquez, MSc PhD, sorry hindi ko na mabasa, Hilton Lam, MHA PhD, and Annabel Y. Briones, PhD Director, DOST-ITDI. Thank you very much po, Doktora.
All right. Thank you, Sir Lam, for reading out the certificate of appreciation to our speakers. And let us first take a photo opportunity with our resource speaker, with Dr. Lam. So sa lahat po ng ating resource speaker, may I please request you to turn on your cameras para po sa ating brief photo op session. Okay, speakers po, please turn on your cameras. So in the count of 3, ready na po ba ang ating speakers? Okay, in 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. Thank you very much. Again, a virtual round of applause to our resource speaker for sharing their knowledge in this forum organized by DOST-ITDI and MMHRDC. Just a few reminders po sa ating participants. Please accomplish the evaluation form that will be shared in the Zoom chat and the Facebook chat para po ma-receive nyo ang inyong certificates. And again, para po sa mga nagtatanong, i-share po natin ang presentations ng lahat ng speakers sa inyong registered emails. And please be reminded po ng ating evaluation form ay dapat ma-accomplish nyo until 3 p.m. only para po magkaroon kayo ng certificate. So ayan na po, flash na po sa screen ang QR code and the link as well. So again, please accomplish that para po meron po tayong certificate for this event. And now that we have reached the end of our program, I believe that there are some announcements from the end of MMHRDC. Dr. Maria Luisa Enriquez is still here with us. Good morning, ma'am. I believe you have a few announcements po. Please do the honors.
Thank you very much for all the participants. I think we have a very good number today coming from the various institutions, private and government. I would like, as I mentioned in the welcome remarks, this forum is the first of the 3 that we are going to conduct this year. So another one is going to be held sometime in July, and this will be hosted by Far Eastern University. And the third forum will be hosted by Adamson University, so Hazel, probably between September or October. And the big conference, which is the 6th MMHRDC International Symposium and the 13th Annual Scientific Conference, will be held on November 24 and 25 this year. And this will be hosted by University of Santo Tomas. So please watch out for the succeeding fora that we are going to be holding for all those interested, the science community especially. So please follow us in the Facebook, and we will do our announcement, the topics or the themes and the details of the upcoming forum. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and again, thank you for all the participants. I hope you had a very fruitful and fulfilling morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Enriquez. And now, to formally close our event this morning, may I please call on Dr. Annabel V. Briones, DOST-ITDI Director, for her closing remarks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we just concluded another fruitful virtual forum that allowed us to share and learn from each other's perspectives. An engagement that is worth a treasure, I can say, because we believe in the adage that health is wealth. Team Pagkain, Nutrisyon, Kalusugan at Kaligtasan, Pagharap sa Hamon ng Makabagong Panahon. The forum aims to spread awareness to everyone about the interventions being provided by the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST, and its agencies as a scientific community to address the public's needs in terms of information about health, nutrition, and food safety. Keeping the general public safe and healthy by providing them with the appropriate measures and how-tos to maintain proper health and vigilance and the quality and safety of the food consumed are our prime concerns. As we rise to the challenges of the new normal, with the pandemic still a threat to people and the health system, we need to be equipped with this know-how. That is why we at DOST are doubling our efforts to keep the Filipino people aware of maintaining a healthy and safe population. Likewise, we are optimistic that the series of talks shared by the Food and Nutrition Research Institute and the Industrial Technology Development Institute, which discuss health and nutrition during after the pandemic, including topics on proper food handling, nutraceuticals and functional ingredients, food packaging contaminants, and food preservatives, are greatly beneficial to us. At this point, allow me to thank Dr. Maria Luisa Enriquez, Chairperson of the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium, MMHRDC, Research Utilization Committee, and Director of the Center for Natural Sciences and Ecological Research of the De La Salle University, Manila, Dr. Jaime C. Montoya, Executive Director of the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, Dr. Eva Marie Cochonco de la Paz, Chair of the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium Steering Committee and Executive Director of the UP National Institutes of Health, UP Manila, Dr. Hilton Wailam, Director of the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium, and Dr. Zoraida V. Ang, Deputy Director for Administrative and Technical Services at ITDI. My heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa, Director of FNRI, and our ITDI speakers, Charles Palia, Rika May Zinca Walde, Ellison Keith B. Encarnacion, and Maria Rachel B. Barcon. And also to our Masters of Ceremony, Dr. Hazel Ann Lamadrid Catublas, and Miss Margarita B. Atienza. Cheers and thanks to the organizers of this forum, the Metro Manila Health Research and Development Consortium, the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, and of course, the Industrial Technology Development Institute. You did a great job. Thank you and good day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Briones. And again, thank you everyone for attending our insightful forum this morning. Please don't forget to answer our evaluation form and to like our social media pages at DOST-ITDI and MMHRDC. This has been Hazel Catublas from Adamson University. Have a great day, everyone.
Yes, Dr. Hazel, thank you very much. And
Thank you,
to
Meg.
our participants, 200, almost 300 participants po ang sumama sa ating forum this morning. So again, thank you very much for your participation and see you in the next one. And this has been Meg Atienza of DOST-ITDI. Thank you very much. And again, don't forget to answer the evaluation form and the link. We will show that again before we end our webinar session. Again, thank you po. Thank you, Doc Hazel. Bye po.
Thank you, Miss Meg. Bye, everyone.
Tumitilaok na ang manok, hudyat na ng pagpasok. Paglilingkod na walang kapalit, sa bayan ng aming hatid. Tara na, kaibigan, huwag kang magpaiwan. Gamitin ang dunong bansa'y susulong. Ating abutin ang pangarap liwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas.
Anumang hamon ay haharapin, mahirap man ay kakayanin. Sa pinagsamang lakas at galing, tagumpay ay mararating. Tara na, kaibigan, huwag kang magpaiwan. Gamitin ang dunong bansa'y susulong. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas.
Ang pangarap ko ay maging piloto.
Pangarap kong magkaroon ng chief alternative for personal hygiene.
Pangarap kong magkaroon ng mabilis at murang transportasyon para sa lahat. Pangarap kong masagot ang malnutrition.
Pangarap ko pong magkaroon ng effective communication means for emergency.
Pangarap kong ma-maximize yung renewable energy source and to reduce the carbon dioxide emission.
Pangarap ko pong maging scientist.
Ngayon na o simulan na, humanda sabay-sabay akyat. Hawak kamay tayo'y aangat, lilipad. Ating abutin ang pangarap iwan sa pamamagitan ng agham. Ang kaunlaran ay makakamtan kung lahat magtutulungan. Tara na, sama-sama itaguyod ang siyensya. Maayos na bukas para sa Pilipinas. Ating abutin ang